Are you looking for a flat chenille stitch tutorial? Here you have my take on the very basics of the flat chenille stitch. So keep watching to learn this beautiful beading technique. And this is one of the designs you can make using it. Nice, huh? For the basic technique, we will use in this tutorial 11 O's in 2 colors. But the technique works very well with 2 different sizes of seed beads as well, like 11O and 15Os, 11O and 8Os, or 3mm pearls with 8Os, like in this example here. Also, you can use different types of beads. In this case, we can use both pearls and bicones. And depending on the size of the beads, because this is very important, you need to match the sizes. You can use 2mm bicones, 3mm bicones, the same for the pearls. Let's get beading. As I was showing you on another tutorial about the tubular chenille stitch, and you can find the link for it in the card above, the chenille stitch is actually a modified herringbone one. So in the same way we've worked for the tubular stitch, we are going to base our tutorial on the herringbone stitch, and then we modify it. So let's start with the base of the herringbone stitch. So we start with 4 seed beads, go back up through the first 2, and then back down through the next 2. This is what I call a stack of herringbone stitch. Then we pick up 2 seed beads, go back down, up through the ones that we have just added, again pick up 2 seed beads, up and down. In this moment we have 2, 4, so 2 stacks of herringbone. Let's make at least 6. It would be easier to have at least 3 stacks, so we can see how the stitch goes on. We can see the difference. Let's see. So we have 1 stack, 2 stacks, 3 stacks. Let's make 4. Better to be easier to see it, because this flat version of the chenille stitch is very visual. You need to see it, and you need to work with stitches that are not even there. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is our ladder stitch base for our herringbone stitch. And now let's make one row of herringbone together. And for this, being at the end of the row, we have to turn the thread in such a way that it comes up like this. This is how we need the thread to be. For this, we go through the bead near the one where the thread comes out, and then here we lay it to the right and go up through the first. And this is one of the versions of turning the thread at the end of the row. Now we make one row of herringbone, and for this we pick up 2 seed beads, go back down the next seed bead in the stack, and now we go back from bottom up in the first seed bead of the next stack of herringbone, and we do like this. The next from up, down, up, another set, pick up 2, go down, move to the next stack and go up, and pick up 2, go down, and now we turn the thread. So we flip the work over. So we go in the seed bead near the one where the thread goes out, position the thread to the right and go back up through the first seed bead in the row. And here we have our first row of plain herringbone. Now we continue with row 2 of our technique, which says that we have to add only 1 seed bead where we usually add 2 in our stack of herringbone. So we pick up 1 seed bead, and we will use a different color to make it easier to see, and follow the same technique of the herringbone. So pick up 1 instead of 2, go back down through the second bead of the herringbone stack and go back up through the next seed bead from the next stack. And here we have the last seed bead added from row number 2. And here we are. For row number 3, we have to come over with a normal herringbone stitch. As you see here, we have only half of it, so we are going to add only half of the herringbone, going through the red from the previous row. So here I have the half from the edge of the work. Now in between the reds we just add the normal sequence of 2 herringbone seed beads. And here on the 3rd row we have to add this, the last seed bead, the half of it, but it's like we don't have where to fix it. So for this we go down in the edge seed bead from the row under, we turn the work, pick up the seed bead that we need, and now we go through the red and in between the herringbones, and here we have, this is how we finish this row. So we finish the row starting the next one in the same time. Now is the 4th row of the technique, where we have to add 1 seed bead in between the herringbone stacks that we have added previously. So 1 in between the 2 and connect with the next seed bead. And here we connect with that half a seed bead, half of the stitch. So initially we started with 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 2nd row. In the 4th row we have only 1, 2, 3 reds, which is absolutely normal. Now for the 5th row, where we have to come back to our herringbone, we have 2 herringbones here, 2 beads that create the herringbone, and we pick up 2 seed beads and we create the herringbone on top of it like this. So we come from inside of the work towards outside in a circle, and here we have stacked our herringbones on top of the others. We move the thread up the edge one and down the 2nd one and the red, because now we need to add our herringbones between the reds, and we have 2 and we have 2, and here we have half and half. We have to unite the halves, and we do it like this. And we finish this herringbone, flipping the work over, pick up the 2 seed beads and going back through the edge 2 seed beads again. Is exactly the same technique like on the other edge. And now we can move our thread up, and here we can start again with adding reds in between, then plain herringbone with halves on the side, then the 3 reds, and then the herringbones creating the full herringbones on the side in circles. Let's make together one more sequence. So we start with the sequence of reds in between the herringbone beads. So down the first one, up the first bead in the next sequence, down here, up the next one. Position the red in between the herringbone beads, go up the next one, and here we have the last, we go down. And this is one row finished. Flip the work over, and now we start the herringbone. The herringbone starts with half a herringbone, so we are adding here only one bead. In between the reds, we add a full herringbone, so 2 beads. Here where we are at the end of it, we go down the seed bead, the edge seed bead from the previous row, because we are anchoring our work on it. Pick up the seed bead, go back up through the red one, and here we have created the other half herringbone on the other edge. Now we start the row where we have to add again reds in between the herringbones. So we have to go up the first bead on the next herringbone, pick up the red, go down the next one, go up the first seed bead in the next herringbone, the red in between the beads, down through the second, up, red, down, and here we connect with the other half of herringbone. Flip the work over, and here we have to create the edge herringbone. We pick up 2, connect those 2 halves together, go back up, down and through the red one. So we have finished this herringbone, and now we add 2 herringbones between the reds. Here we have the 2 halves that we have to connect together, so we go through the first one and the second one, and they are connected. Okay, flip the work over, and we have to finish this herringbone, So we pick up 2 seed beads. Again, connect the 2 halves together to make a herringbone stitch. And here we are. And we are ready for the next sequence of chenille stitch. So this is the basic technique for the chenille stitch. I just want to show you that when we turn the work, when we turn around to create the half, when we create that half of the, if you can see here, when we build up the half of the herringbone on the edge, you can see the thread. When we are using small beads, it's not so evident. When we switch to bigger beads, in this case I have 3mm pearls, you can see quite a lot of the thread. If this is your designer intention, that's absolutely fine. There's no problem. If you want to hide it a little, you can add a 15-0 or an 11-0, depending on the size of the beads, to kind of cover this thread a little, creating an embellishment at the same time. So this is another idea, and you will see it when I'll make the tutorial for this bracelet. I'll show you how to make sure that we pick up that seed bead that's covering the thread, which is just adding, in this technique, 1 more bead. It's nothing different. So I hope you like it. You have quite a lot of options after you know how to make this technique. So I'm very happy I managed to share this with you. Please subscribe if you like it. And see you with our next tutorial. Learn a stitch or just a new design. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.